Hi, Adam. Welcome to Linear Rock.
Thank you so much. It's great to be talking to you.
Great to have you. Actually, no dreads, no big hair. Big hair is gone. How come?
I don't know. I finished touring up in 2019, and I flew to visit some friends in England. I landed, went to my friend's house. He was at work. My girlfriend fell asleep because she was jet lagged. I went to the bathroom. I thought about taking a shower. I was washing my face, and then I just grabbed the clippers and shaved my head.
Wow.
I don't know. I felt like doing it, and I did it.
You did it, and you stayed like that since then. Okay. So 8 albums and 20 million records sold after Counting Crows are finally back with a tasteful EP, which spreads, the wings to fly high, breaking an artistic silence of 7 years. Long time. Butter Miracle Sweet One is out now since last Friday. 4 new tracks, all mixed in a unique, sweet, and that one in the title of this new beginning seems to hide like a message, that there's more coming after this long-awaited comeback. Is this part, of a big project with part 2, maybe part 3, part 4? And was it conceived as a unit of 4 tracks, or they were actually written separately? Tell us all about it.
No, it was only conceived as one suite, but I really love it, and so I want to do more of it. But really, I wrote the song "The Tall Grass," and as I was working on it the next day, I started to I played it for myself again, and I was extending the ending, and I really loved the way it sounded, and I tried it over some different chords, and then I suddenly sang this line, "Bobby was a kid from round the town." And I kind of thought, oh, maybe this is a long song like Palisades Park, and I'll do more at the end here. And then I thought, no, this is a different song. Huh? What if I wrote a series of songs where the end of one was the beginning of the next, like a suite? And then I got really excited, and I did that. And that line turned out to be the first line of Elevator Boots.
Yeah, very interesting. And it turned, by the way, brilliant. It's really awesome. And what about the cover artwork, which is very, very particular, strange, funny, but also thoughtful, what's the idea behind it, and what's this, Butter Miracle?
Well, once I came up with the title, I really wanted a surreal kind of psychedelic cover, something surrealistic. And my girlfriend had turned me on to this artist, Beth Hochul. Beth Hochul does a lot of collage work, and it's really surreal collage work, like a woman standing on a lily pad looking over, a waterfall. Yeah. And I called her up, and we asked her I went next to her Instagram, and I wrote her a note. Actually, that's what it was. And I asked her if she wanted to work on me, and then we got on the phone and we talked about it. I sent her the music. She loved it, and she made the greatest album cover for me. It is so cool. I love this album cover. I'm always really want to make great album covers, but this one, it's amazing.
Did the title come first?
Yeah.
Okay, so she was inspired also by that.
Yes, no, I told her what I wanted it to be like, and she made it her own, though. Yeah, I mean, I really love the title. I like how surrealist it is. Yeah. But there is a specific reason for it, but I'm kind of not telling anybody, because if I tell, right now it's a surreal psychedelic title and it means whatever anybody thinks it means. Okay. And if I tell everybody, it'll only mean what I know it means, and I kind of don't want to do that. It's very personal, and I'm going to keep it that way.
I'll try, to have some details, but I'll try my best. Okay, but when I heard, the new songs, they sounded, in a sense, familiar, in a way as if, they've always been there in myself, like a perfect harmony with your artistic path. And it's beautiful, when you hear some new music that it seems that communicates so much to you. It seems yours in a sense. After 7 years, in a very peculiar period, a strong inspiration has hit you again, finally. Was it the shock of the situation, or the intimate relax of the lockdown inspired you?
No, it was all right before that.
Okay.
Like,
so
I
it was
wrote
a natural process. I mean, that, you know, you're back, or there was like a certain spark behind maybe this, you know, butter miracle.
Well, I was spending a lot of time on my friend's farm in England, and a lot of time with his family, a lot of time with my girlfriend, but a lot of the time by myself, completely by myself, just me and two dogs, wandering through the woods there. And I really loved it. And I started to want to play piano and write again. And I hadn't wanted to for a long time. And I started writing, and it just all came out. And this was in August into the fall of 2019. And then I wrote the last song, Bobby and the Rat Kings, in January of 2020. And they're written in order so that each one could, like, each song was kind of inspired by the one before it because they needed to come right out of it.
All right.
And so I finished it in early 2020, and we went to rehearse in February. And then, like, the last couple days of February, we went into the studio, and we were just going to spend 2 weeks with 5 of us at the very beginning of March, the end of February. And as we were finishing, and then we were going to take a 2-week break, everyone was going to go home, and the other 2 guitar players, they weren't there for the first part, were going to come for a few days in March and finish their parts and finish the record. But while we were finishing the first 2 weeks, the news was all about the pandemic. And then right when we took the break, the quarantine came down. Yeah. And that was it. We couldn't go back to work. So I did the background vocals with a friend of mine over Zoom. My friend Dave Drago sang almost all the background vocals on the record. We did it over Zoom and over, he did it from his studio in upstate New York. And then the other guitar players, Dave Bryson and Dan Vickery, recorded their parts at home in San Francisco and Seattle and sent them to us. And we waited till July. Our producer and engineer drove here from Chicago to New York so they wouldn't have to fly. We found a studio 2 blocks from my house. Everybody stayed with me. I cooked for everyone. And we just walked to work each day so we didn't have to take cars or anything. And we just, about 2 or 3 days to put the guitars in, the last guitars, and then we mixed it and finished it in July. So, I mean, it was 85% done before the pandemic even hit, and we had to wait to finish it until July.
Wow. Counting Crows is featured number 8 on the Billboard Greatest of All Time Adult Alternative 25th Anniversary chart. And you, Adam, are still, the primary songwriter in the band. That was really all you, the main part of it. And how and why would you explain this remains a real band, despite, your artistic control over it?
Well, we're very collaborative. I write the songs most of the time, but that's just a set of chords and some words. The real magic is what we do together in the studio, where we really make it. For 30 years now, they've been taking these little skeletons that I write and making them into great songs. I'm a really good arranger, which is I don't play any instrument very well, but I'm really good at arranging. And we just all work together very well to sort of create this stuff and turn these things into much, much better than they would ever be if it was just me by myself. And I think we're all still really passionately excited about playing great music and making great music. We've never really wanted to make records that sound like the last successful record we had or something. We just want to do the new thing all the time. And I think that we stay vital and we stay fresh because we're always trying to be, new and fresh, and we're always doing whatever we're interested in. We've never really listened to trends or the record company or the radio or anybody else. We just did whatever we wanted to do.
Yeah, you're right. You have never actually chased, the big success, which, by the way, immediately hit you back in 93, 94, but maybe as a sort of double-edged sword, in a sense, for a band like Counting Crows. How hard was it for you guys not, to fall into the temptation, to maintain, that success and instead choosing of having a strong artistic integrity through the years? Was it a hard choice or it was natural for you?
No, it wasn't really hard, because I think people get caught up in chasing whatever they did last time or whatever was successful last year, but that never works. You know, it's so dumb to me. You know what got you success was doing what you wanted to do. And if you're going to have success next time, you might as well do it by doing what you want to do, not what someone else tells you to do. I think people get really panicked because it's so hard to have success in the arts.
Yeah.
And if you get any success, it's hard to sustain it. And I think people get really scared because nobody wants to be a rock star for a year and a half, you know, and have a successful album and then a flop. Everybody wants to do this for the rest of their lives. And nobody has a really good recipe for how to do that, because how do you plan for what people are going to like? You know, you can't. So the best thing to me always seemed to just do whatever I wanted to do. And then at least I'd always be happy, you know, like I'd always be satisfied artistically, and so would the band, you know. That just seems like the best way to go. And I guess 30 years later, I'm kind of right, because we're still here, you know?
Yeah. Your music is very organic, you know, full of feeling and emotions, but also it's very rich in nuances and colors and a lot of levels, let's say. Are you usually quick in the studio just to capture the moment, or you are like tireless perfectionists of the emotion?
Well, a little bit of both. I mean, I try and have the tape running from moment one with everybody playing together. So we capture everything everyone does, you know, and we really capture that organic feel. But then we go back and work on parts. We'll try and improve stuff. You know, we'll get a feeling all together, but then we'll go back, like Angel of 14th Street you just played. You know, we initially recorded that with, you know, like the Immer playing acoustic guitar, the bass and drums, and I think Charlie was on piano or organ. You know, then we went back and got the Mellotron out, and Charlie put down all those great horns and string lines and all the stuff he did. And we really sat there all together and made suggestions to him, encouraged him, told him when something was great, gave him other ideas. You know, we worked on it. Immer went back and played a lot of electric guitars over the top of it. But, you know, we try to get a feel at first, but then we'll go back and really work like perfectionists. But I mean, this whole record was almost done in 2 weeks. So it's pretty quick.
Wow.
You know, for us, that's very quick.
Yeah. You started as a live band, and your dynamic and intense live performances are notorious, so well known all around the world. After so many years, is the stage still your like native habitat, or has something changed meanwhile? Is it, you know, an easier or harder challenge to bring on stage that charming, great feeling that's coming, you know, out of your records, which it's really full of a lot of emotions?
Well, I think there are three really important parts to being in a band. Writing songs, you know, creating something from nothing. That's really, really important. I think making records where you like take those skeletons and turn them into something timeless that lasts forever. That's really important. And I think playing live is really important in that you like reinterpret that stuff every night, and you have these really intimate experiences with people, one-to-one, you know, like, or 1 to 10,000, whatever it is. I feel like all three of those parts are equally important. I mean, we started as a live band because everybody does, because you don't have a recording contract at the beginning. But I don't think, I mean, to me, maybe the most important part is the record making, because that's the part that lasts forever. That's where you really have to bring it all, because there's always another night when you're playing live. You can always do better tomorrow night. You need to be great every night, but you know, if you have an off night, that's life. And writing songs, you can always use it or not use it if you don't like the song. But making a record, you're trying to make something that will last, you know, forever. For years and years. You want people to be listening to it decades later. Who knows if that'll ever happen? I mean, you can't tell until decades later. But I mean, we're here and we seem to have done that. And I mean, we've never been as successful as some of our idols like the Stones or something. We've never been big like that. But I mean, I'm sitting in my house in New York. I'm talking to someone in probably Milano, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Milano, yes.
Someone in Milan, like right now, because they listened to a record I made 30 years ago, and they're still listening to another one today. And they played, I'm so happy you played Angel 14th Street. Everyone, I love Elevator Boots, but everyone's playing it. You're the first person who's played Angel 14th Street for me on one of these things. I was so floored by that.
Thank you.
I gotta thank you. But I mean, like, that's incredible. 30 years later, I'm here and someone's listening to a record they love of mine today. I mean, that's what you want. It's just that you don't actually expect it to happen. You know, I mean, I dreamed about doing this for my whole life.
Sure.
And now I've done it for more of my life than I have not done it. You know, probably it's pretty close right now. Yeah.
But now it's Elevator Boots' turn, of course. And you wrote the song about a young musician in a band, always traveling from one city to another between love, passions, and experience. But as a matter of fact, also looking for something he cannot find. How much autobiographical is, Bobby's story for you? And why now you felt the urgency to bring it out?
Well, I don't think it's something he can't find. I think it's something he actually finds every night. I think people come in and out of his life. They fade in, they fade out. Cities, towns, countries come and go. But the music is always there. And there's always a gig. Tomorrow night, there's another gig. And the night after that. And that's where the thrill is. The most important thing in his life is the music. And it's always there for him. And I think that's what that song's really about, is the fact that every night there's another town. Another show, and that doesn't fade in and out.
And how much of Adam is in Bobby's story?
Oh, entirely. I mean, the plot. I mean, all these songs. In the last few years, for the first time in my life, I've been writing songs where the stories aren't about me, but the songs are all about me, because it's all about my feelings about music, about playing music that informs Elevator Boots, that informs Bobby and the Rat Kings. My feelings about what women have to deal with in society that informs Angel of 14th Street. My feelings about my life and death in general inform Tallgrass, you know? It's all my feelings.
Is that musical scale right before the chorus a reference to Maybe I'm Amazed by Paul McCartney, or it was just my imagination?
Well, I mean, that's the great classic. I mean, Maybe I'm Amazed is the most famous example of that. But I don't know if I was thinking of that exactly, but you're absolutely right. It reminds me of it too. I love that run up in Maybe I'm Amazed. I don't remember when I suggested it for this song if I was thinking of that or not. But yeah, that's the most famous example of this for sure.
Yeah, maybe it was unconscious, but it's brilliant anyway. Okay, so let's hear the song. Do you want to introduce it for us, Adam?
This is the second song from Butter Miracle, and it's called Elevator Boots.
Counting Crows. So Adam, about Elevator Boots, was the melody, did the melody come first, or the words, or the music? In this case, what happened?
Well, I mean, I was playing the end of Tallgrass, and I changed that piece of music to try and shift it, and then I sang that first line.
Yeah.
And so it kind of grew from there. I've never written lyrics first in my life. It's always music first, or music and lyrics at the same time, like this song. I just sort of came out, and I knew what I wanted to write about. I mean, I didn't know the theme of it, but I had this feeling about this sort of glam rock kind of Mott the Hoople, early Bowie, like Mick Ronson's guitars. I had the feeling about that, like chunky electric guitar. Sure. Maybe even before I finished the song, I had a feeling about what the music should be like, you know, behind it, the band when they're playing. And I really tried to keep it in that vein, like to really keep that like catchy, sort of singable, chunky, dark electric guitar sound.
You know, the mood of the song makes me remember also about Bad Company's Shooting Star, for example. That's kind of, you know, same song with the same topic, and it's really brilliant. It's an instant classic, by the way.
Thanks.
You never fail. Okay. August and December are 2 months both related to huge success for you. Were these months special even before for some reason? I mean, so special that they maybe inspired you for good, effectively. Also, since things come in threes, what's the next month in sight?
I don't know, maybe invent a new month. I don't want to get in a rut. August, I was born in August. And so in saying August and everything after, I was sort of just talking about my life. Everything after August was what happened for the rest of my life. December, was specifically that, a friend of mine got hit by a car, and we spent that autumn. I mean, I was recovering the satellites at the same time, but I was spending my days in the hospital with her, and then my nights at the studio. So they were very significant to me that way, but also, of course, December as a month, it's the end of every year. It's the moment where we decide whether we gather together with our families because of the holidays, but we also decide whether the year has been a success or a failure. And even if it's a great year, like everything that happens in our past, the past is always kind of bittersweet because it's gone,
Yeah.
And it's another year gone. It's like that's what the entire record of Hard Candy is about. That as much as our memories are so sweet, even the best memories are kind of sad because they're in our past now. So I mean, December's pretty resonant that way for people. I think it creates memories. December every year it does that for people.
Sure.
My next month, I don't know. I wrote most of these songs in August, and I've already used it. But I wrote Bobby and the Wreckings in January. But January is not a very lyrical sounding month. It's too many syllables, quite honestly.
I was born in September, and that's the end of the summer. So mark it on the list, and maybe you're gonna write the song for me.
Well, you've got Alex Chilton already did it better than any of us could because he wrote September Girls.
Sure. Okay. You like to change the interpretation of some of your old classic when you sing them in concert. Always heartfelt and going straight to the heart. And that keeps also your charisma alive. Is it something you do on purpose, just, to give new colors and new taste to the old songs? Or does it simply come naturally and unconscious in a sense, because those songs, grow with you and grow in you? Can it become also a risk, maybe due, to the expectations of the fans that usually they want to hear the song as they learn them from the records? So how that process happen in your mind?
Well, I think it's good and bad. I think on the one hand, we're very creative. On the other hand, our motto could be Counting Crows, frustrating the hell out of everyone since 1993. I mean, for me, I guess it's because I never really thought of them as old songs, even when we were touring them the first time, because they feel very alive to me. And so I want to sing them like they're happening today. Okay. And so to me, the songs are like coffee filters in a way, and you just pour your life through them every day, and they come out a little differently, but it keeps them very fresh and very alive to me. Like Mr. Jones, I've been singing it for 30 years, but I want to sing it like it matters today, because it does. Sure. It still matters to me today, and I think that it's one of the reasons we're still a good live band. It's also one of the reasons people tear their hair out watching us.
Sure.
Because they just wish we would sing it like the record, but it's never going to happen.
Is Peter Gabriel among your main influences? I mean, for the melodic lines, the many words, but always thoughtful that you put into the songs, or it's just an impression I have?
Well, I mean, he's someone I really, really loved growing up. And I would say that I saw Peter Gabriel on the tour after the third record, after Security, and that live album tour, and after whatever, Us or So. I can't remember what it's, but I mean, so I was a huge fan, and I saw him many times. And I think those concerts were mind-bending. They were so innovative and creative. I really loved those concert performances. I don't know where he comes down in influencing me as far as the way we make our music, because it's very different. Mm-hmm. I wish I could be as theatrical and creative as he was, because some of those shows I I felt like I was on drugs after them because I was so knocked out by what he did visually. He was so creative. And I remember them so vividly.
Yeah.
I remember being at the Greek Theater in Berkeley and him ending a show with Biko on that tour, and one by one, every musician left the stage until the only guy left was Omar Hakim, whoever the drummer was, still playing that beat after everyone had gone, and then finally stopping alone. You know, it was Tony, the bass player who played the stick. I mean, it was such an incredible band, and he was amazing. I don't know how much of an influence he is on our records because I write very differently than he does, but
yeah, but you know, I get some of his essence in some of the things that you do. So maybe it's just, you know,
mean,
maybe
he's someone I really. You're the first person who's ever brought that up. But you know, it's very interesting to me because, like I said, he was very, very, very important to me when I was younger. And in my 20s, those concerts are some of the most memorable of my life.
Sure. And what do you remember of Woodstock 99 experience? You did not play, of course, the original Woodstock, but in hindsight, was it appropriate, in your opinion, to call that festival Woodstock? And how was that experience for you?
We had a good show, but I would say it was one of the worst experiences of my life.
Oh.
I mean, we had a great set and great audience response, but I felt like it was a money grab. And I felt like it was 100 and some odd degrees. People are out on asphalt on an Air Force base. Water costs $6 for a little bottle. People were really, really angry in the audience. They, you know, the porta potties got knocked over. There was like a 50-yard lake of piss. You know, it was kind of, and the audience was so unhappy and frustrated during a lot of the sets that they were tearing things apart. I saw a woman's clothes get torn off during Sheryl Crow's set when I was watching them play. They were smashing things, and like, I felt like the audience was so unhappy, and they were set up to be, you know, by the people who put it on. And I felt like it was very dangerous for the audience, and it didn't show a lot of concern. People were getting carted away on stretchers, like a line of stretchers in the front, off the front fence. It just was poorly organized in a way that was very unsafe for the kids. And like I said, our set was great, and we didn't have any problems during our set. But I saw things go on during Cheryl's set and during Limp Bizkit's set. They set the place on fire during what do you call it? Chili Peppers.
Yeah, the Hot Chili Peppers.
And that was stupid because people were angry and frustrated, and the organizers passed out candles at the last set. I mean, if you don't want people lighting things on fire, don't pass out candles. You know, like, it's just stupid. And they did all these things without thinking about it, and I think they made it very, very dangerous for the fans who came to watch. And I was really disappointed in those organizers because on top of that, they then tried to blame it on the bands. As opposed to taking responsibility themselves, they tried to blame it on the Chili Peppers, they tried to blame it on Limp Bizkit, and I thought that was really lame of them. I would never play a concert for those promoters again. I thought they dishonored the memory of Woodstock. Really?
Actually, also the original Woodstock was dangerous in a sense, but there was a different mood, a different feeling back then. So everything was safer, maybe by miracle, I don't know, but...
Well, I think it was safer because as much as it was completely unorganized, everyone tried very hard to make it safe. People made breakfast for other people. People set up on their own first aid places, you know?
Sure.
This was very, very different than that, and I just felt like, I mean, Woodstock, the original, is an example of something that should have been very disastrous and wasn't, because a lot of people worked very hard to try not to be. This was an example of something where they used the name of that and created something that was actually very dangerous and just like kind of disgraceful.
Yeah. Now let's go back to 2004, 2005. Accidentally in Love. 3 nominations, Oscar, Golden Globe, and Grammy Award as Best Original Song from a Movie Soundtrack for Shrek 2. It was such a big, as you know, an unexpected success, by the way, or maybe you did expect it a bit. And, you know, is daring also in your DNA or not? And what do you answer to those, you know, who accused you of a clever, sly move, you know, putting a song on a soundtrack like that?
Well, for me, it was a no-brainer. When they asked me to do it, I said absolutely yes. Because you want to create things that are timeless. You know, and very few things are as timeless as a really good animated film. My grandmother saw Snow White. My mother saw Snow White. I saw Snow White. My kids, if I have kids, will see Snow White. You know, Shrek will last forever. It's going to be around for years and years and years. And also, I went to the studio. They showed me 3/4 of the movie, and they walked me through the rest in storyboards. And it was brilliant. And I knew it was, that's a very, very, very good movie. And I was proud to put a song in it. I mean, it was very hard for me because I don't write very well with an idea ahead of time. And I had to have an idea ahead of time for this song. I knew what it needed to be. And I really struggled with that. But I'll be honest with you, I love that song. It's hard to write a song that's a joyous song about love that's also a little bittersweet about, like, sometimes you fall in love with the wrong person, and it's really hard, which is the theme, by the way, of the movies, too. You know, although it turns out to be the right person in the end. But, you know, it was very difficult as a craftsman to write that song, but it's a really great song, and that's a great movie. And I was so proud of it. And I will say this, 3 nominations, 3 for 3. We are undefeated in losing every single one of them. I mean, we lost. Normally I don't care. Honestly, I've never even gone to the Grammy Awards. I could care less about winning a Grammy, but I really did want to win the Oscar. I thought I was going to give that award. I brought my parents to the ceremony. That award was going to be on their mantelpiece, and it would have been the coolest thing. Also, once you win an Oscar, you're a member of the Academy forever, and they give you all the free movies. Yeah. And I really wanted. I'm a movie freak. I love movies. I wanted the free movies. I was so disappointed to lose. We lost everything, every single one of them. I mean, I'll be honest with you, the only one I really cared about was the Oscars, and I'm still crushed about it. To this day, I'm so angry we lost.
So we have a few more minutes left, but I have 3 very quick questions for you, Adam, before letting you go. Is there any classic rock song you'd steal, you know, make yours, putting your name on it? If you could, of course, a song that would fit perfectly your style as a part of your path. Maybe for somebody, you know, this song is Mr. Jones, but for you, which one is it?
I don't know. I've never really thought much about wanting to cover songs. Even when we made our album of covers, it was more almost about exposing other people to how great all these songs were. So I don't really sit around. I'm trying to think of a song that I've wanted to cover in recent years, and it just never occurs to me. I love to listen to my friends' music and other songs, but I rarely think about covering them.
But a song you wish you wrote?
Oh, well, there's so many songs. The entire catalog of Springsteen, Roy Harper, Nick Drake, Richard Thompson, Joni Mitchell.
Okay.
I mean, there's so many great songs out there. I mean, I wish I'd written so many of them, all of Big Star, you know, like.
Sure.
But I'm happy with the ones I wrote. I wish I could have written as well as some of my idols. But that's the thing. It's like the nice thing about having people that you think are better than you is that you keep trying.
Yeah,
you know?
That's a good point. Okay, Adam, you produce wine and rock and roll. What's more heady? What's more intoxicating? Wine or rock?
Well, I mean, me and a couple friends own a winery, but I will tell you that all the heavy work is done by Russell Bevan, our winemaker, who is I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to do it is because I met Russell and I tasted his wine. I mean, he's the only winemaker in the world to have 100-point wine every year since 2011. He's had like 23, 25 since then. He's incredible. He's one of the most talented, creative individuals I've ever met. It's a very different creativity than mine, but I admire him so much. For me, I enjoy the work he does. because it's incredible stuff. And I love food. I love wine. I have very close friends who are chefs. My friend Massimo lives just down in Modena, and he has a Francescana, his restaurant there. You know, I have a lot of friends who do different creative things. My friends who are chefs, I think, are geniuses. My friend Russell, who makes the wine for us, is brilliant. It's nice to have peers who don't just write songs, but who also do other things.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. So what's immediately next for Counting Crows? Will you be back on stage anytime soon? And by the way, I must bring a salute to you from Claudio Trotta, which is your promoter for ballet arts in Italy. So he's waiting for you. So is it something in the plans, to come back soon?
Well, I mean, we're going to try and tour in America. We're going to tour in America in the fall. We're doing almost all of it outdoors, so it's safer. But my hope is to go to Europe next year, in the winter. I mean, I know the EU is struggling a little bit right now with the vaccines, but the EU is usually very good they do most things better than we do. Something about the conglomerate nature, the cooperative nature, threw them off a little bit with the vaccines, and I know they're a little behind right now. But England's close. And I'll be honest with you, all anyone in any band wants to do is go to Italy. I mean, because the food, not only do I have friends there who own the best restaurants in the world, but I want to sit there and eat and travel from town to town, eating all the best food in the world and drinking the best wine in the world. So, what's been really great is I've never done very much press from Italy, but for the last couple weeks, I've done so many interviews with Italian press, and it makes me hope that when Claudio will have us back soon and we'll be able to play. I think Claudio may have changed our lives by putting us with Springsteen that time.
Yeah.
Because probably more people saw us that day than had ever seen us in our whole career put together. We were very lucky to play that gig in Rome, and it was such a one of the nights of my life to play that place in Rome. I mean,
you were lucky, but you deserved it. I mean, that was a great show, man.
It was so cool. I was so happy, and we had a great show, and the audience really responded. And, Bruce told me that some of the other audiences around Europe with some of the bands, because he's never had opening acts, they weren't as receptive. But he's like, man, the Rome show, that was great. And I was so excited and happy about that because, we've always been very successful in the North, in Holland, in Belgium, in Germany, in Scandinavia, but we've always struggled where you want to be successful is the South, Spain, Italy, the food, Portugal. That's where you want. I love the North too. I love Europe so much, but I really, really want to spend more time in Italy.
Yeah,
everybody does. Italia.
The audience is much warmer as well. Okay, so Adam, thanks very much for this interview, for your time. It's been such an honor, such a pleasure for me and for us all. And can't wait to see you soon. And of course, now we're closing, this interview. Let's travel back in time with the Mr. Jones video. Can you introduce it and maybe share a little memory of those times with us?
Well, it's funny because it's a song that nobody wanted. The record label didn't want Mr. Jones to be a single. They wanted A Murder of One. I wanted Mr. Jones. I didn't even think it was a big hit. I just thought it was a good introductory song. And so we agreed to disagree and we released nothing. And then we went on tour opening for Suede, The Cranberries, Midnight Oil, and Cracker. And every time we talked to a radio person, we lied and told them the single was Mr. Jones. Until finally MTV called the label and said, "Where's the video for the Counting Crows single?" And the label had to ask, which song is the Counting Crows single? And MTV was like, how do you not know it's Mr. Jones? It's your record. And so we made a video for Mr. Jones. And it turned out really well. And of course, 30 years later, it's still a great video. And it's also me before I became self-conscious on camera. I am completely free on that video. And I like to watch it for that reason. So anyways, grazie. Ciao.
Always a pleasure to listen to it and to watch it. Thanks very much, Adam. Ciao. See you next time.
Ciao, Barbara.
Counting Crows, Mr. Jones.